Hello, everyone. I'm a bit nervous. 104 bits per minute. It was 112 before that. I'm Mikhail. I'm from Kiev. As you can see, here is the name of my company. And this company started not as a business but as a project. It was like a game or something that happened to me. It wasn't a big intention to create a company, a translation company. So right now we are growing. We already have 18 people on the team. We have offices in Kiev, in Chernihiv. Our clients are MLV and LSP from around the globe, and also some Ukrainian clients. This is an old photo. We made it for the website. We haven't used it actually, but I still like it. I had longer hair back then. So, how did it happen? What was the motivation behind that? And what's my motivation to speak about motivation? I was quite interested in psychology for quite a long time, and I wanted to find out why it's easier for some people to work and why it's more difficult for others to work. And I saw that there are some patterns which prevent people from self-actualization, from being themselves, to put it simpler. Before I started this business, I worked for advertising, and I worked for different companies, which different styles of management, ranging from authoritarian style with micromanagement, where you had to report on every minute of your work, to other more relaxed styles which could be described as chaotic. People were moving in different directions, but the work was functioning quite smoothly. So I decided that when I start my business, I won't be micromanaging, I won't be telling people what to do on each particular second. I want them to understand the general goal of the company, where we want to get, where they want to get, and this is how we managed to arrange things. So my negative experience of being an employee was turned into the positive experience of my company. Recently, I stumbled upon one research by ADP research company from the UK, and this was a research done in 19 countries in different industries. They studied engagement, how much people like the things they are doing, and on average, every seventh person only is interested in the things they do. Others just come to work day in, day out. That's a scary number. 6 out of 7 people are doing that. Or maybe they work from home, but the attitude is the same. Our industry, by the way, is in the category of professional services, which on average have a higher rating, like 20%, but still it's only 1 in every 5 people. So how do we do that in our company? Um, they asked the following question: what is the obstacle to being really interested in what you are doing? Why 6 out of 7 people are just going through the motions? There are several reasons behind that. one of them being let me recall it. Let me phrase it properly. Except for such standard things as the general environment, the paycheck, other simple things, quite often, especially in our industry, I noticed that the family background, the psychological background of the person quite often defines their attitude to the job, to themselves. Quite often people are afraid to express themselves. They are quite closed, and this has a strong influence on everything else. People are afraid to be themselves. For instance, I would like to ask you several questions. Are there managers here? Those who are managing companies? Yes. So please raise your arms. Do you know what your people want? No. Have you ever asked them? So what exactly do you mean by asking people what they want? I mean that motivation is in any activity you are doing. Motivation is born out of liking or disliking something, and those likes and dislikes come from the general ideas about yourself, about the world in general. And if you want to motivate your people to engage them, you have to talk to them, to learn more about them. And of course, you can object that we are there to work. We hire them to deliver, to perform on their tasks, and we have some expectations from them. So it's not the proper place for such psychological discussions. But as a top level manager, as a CEO, you, Tatiana, are the one creating the culture of the company. All the rest is being done by the managers in the department, and it's their obligation to carry on with the culture you are creating. So when it comes to work, to employees, the simplest thing to think about is recognition. Recognition is something that everyone wants to get, and that's a threshold of uh, being in power. Like, so if you are doing something you are good at, you want to be even better, but one more thing you would like to get is recognition. So if you are only criticized when you are doing something imperfectly and not praised when you are producing excellent results, um, this has influence on everything, and including customer experience. Also, if we speak of people in general, what people want in life in general. Thank you for your hint. So, I, people want to be able to do what they want to do. Yes, that's correct. People want to be themselves. They do not want to be forced into some kind of a framework. If they are allowed to be themselves, they will produce their best effort to achieve your result, the result that is defined for them by your company. And in this case, they will behave as a part of the team, and they will assist you in achieving your goals. So ADP Research Institute showed that people are 2 times more involved, even if they work from home, if they feel that they are indeed a part of the team. And I think this is grounded in our tribal instincts, which are known from anthropology. We need to be a part of something bigger, of some bigger circle, like a team, to be happier. And this is also happening at work. There is this need to maintain this team spirit. So, what do we need for that? We need team leaders. The same research shows that if the leader talks to them, if the leader works with them, like for instance, senior project managers, team leaders who are assisting others to express themselves better, maybe team leaders in the translator and editorial groups. So the presence of the team leaders and the correct qualities of the leaders, because in my company, the leaders are those who understand how to deal with people rather than how to earn more money. There are different difficult situations in life, and there are those people who are able to empathize, to understand the position of another person before reacting. They are the ones who be the best team leads, and they are the ones who can take you to the place you want to achieve. So they are partly responsible for the atmosphere on the team and about the processes. One more thing that is useful for people to be able to achieve better results is not just to give them feedback, not just provide them feedback as a text and to expect some conclusions or actions from them, but also we can provide some real assistance, like ask the person, what would you like to uh, have? What would you like me to do to help you avoid such difficulties in the future? So I'm the one who likes to talk to people. I'm sincerely interested in the life of my employees, like what they're doing on the weekends, what are their hobbies. If they have families, I can ask a question about their children. And in this case, the more information I have about them, the more I'm in the know of what can prevent them from working properly. There are stressful situations sometimes, there are occasional overloads, and if I know more about the person, if I and our team leaders are warned about the probability of a critical situation arising, they are better equipped to notice that something is happening, and if the person needs some assistance, they are able to provide this assistance even before the person asks for it. So for instance, when we hired a new employee, and she may dislike some part of the job, or she tried something again and again and it wasn't successful, and like there are an hour or two before the deadline and she just starts weeping and crying that she was given an improper task. And this is something we have never had before. At first we just talked to her, later we used some alcohol. Well, we have a couple of bottles of beer in our fridge. We also have an open bar where people can relieve their stress just a little bit. So yeah, Why am I mentioning this? That's because, yeah, by the way, we spent quite a long time persuading that girl to switch from freelance to being a full-time employee. But we do understand that everyone has their own mindset and the way they are brought up in the family, their past, their early childhood. This creates a certain set framework which can make a person uncomfortable when they try to fit in into the atmosphere that we have already created. So I I call this the circle of non judgment. So on the one hand, we are discussing the drawbacks in people's work, but the intention is not to criticize, but to show that everyone can do a mistake, and it's not the best choice just to criticize yourself for being mistaken. The best thing we can do is to correct the mistake and to move forward. So it's a kind of a sect that we are creating in the company. Not everyone is comfortable with that, yeah, and some people have a trouble with that in the beginning. They want to separate from the team somehow. They are staying at their workstation, they eat separately, but over time they start to realize that it's not some kind of a deception. We are a serious company, although we are made of not very serious people. We joke a lot, we laugh a lot, and that's one more important tool that we are using to maintain the team spirit. Because just as Vladimir shared today, sometimes it happens that and editors quarrel with translators, and they are trying to um, quench the small fires. But such situations do exist, of course. If a person joins a team, well, so they had some previous history, maybe their children are ill today or a relative died, and we try to prevent any unwanted developments so that the personal issues um, have mitigated influence on the output at work, because our main purpose is to have the client satisfied, and there are different ways to do that. A person can work from the office, from home. There are different solutions. Some of the things we are trying right now is allowing everyone to work from home one of the business days per week. If this is successful, we will increase this time. Some people are allowed to have less hours in the office, to leave earlier if they have small children at home. It's not to show that they can work less. They are even more involved because they can see that we appreciate them. And even if they are on the work to school with their child, maybe they can send some working note from their cell phone. I do not encourage that, but if a person is really engaged and they can see some urgent request from a foreigner, they instinctively do this. They start working from the external locations and devices. Something else that I've heard today is that there is a practice of adding more days to vacation, up to 7 days, for increasing the loyalty of clients. And it seems to me this is a very beneficial practice, and everyone is glad that we introduced that. Next, team building.
Tanya, how about you? How do you do team building? Nastya is doing this. Don't you participate? Aren't you engaged? Well, maybe if somebody else would like to share. Well, actually, I suggest we bring this issue forward for the roundtable discussion so that each of us could share these things. Welcome. 3:30. When is it going to be there? 3:30 p.m. Yes, there is another slide I forgot to mention about team leaders. About well, 70% growth of engagement is the result when the team leads they talk to their employees when they send letters to them, and this recognition, acceptance also enhances the engagement by 70%. Well, there are some other slides. You can read them if you wish. Well, these are the findings of other companies who are doing their surveys. I was surprised how many surveys are available to this topic. Well, I actually thought, well, I know that they are available. I learned this when I was preparing this presentation because I wanted to talk about motivation, so I needed more slides, as the joke goes. So these are the surveys of IDP. Actually, the claims that people who worked 5 days a week from home and 4 days. So the highest engagement is there because they invest their effort into this job the most. And you can see the other figures that are opposite. This is the global research, the global survey for all industries that were surveyed, both the construction industry and the other. Back to team building, I wanted to ask this question, and Danya reminded to me. Well, we are doing the easiest thing to do is that we drink beer together on a regular basis. Of course, this is at the cost of the company. Why this way? When I was a student, it was the Department of Physical and Biomedical Electronics in the Polytechnics. We had two parallel groups running in the course, and I remember this thing that our group was never friendly, unlike the parallel group who were really close and friendly. But they actually started drinking from the first year of their studies. They regularly went together to celebrate the New Year parties and the other celebrations, and it brought them together because alcohol helps you relax. And so, what do? What do you want? You want to be yourself, and it helps to be yourself because our mind, our brain, is really keeps us rigidly in the framework of our upbringing. When it's like a train that goes on the track and it's very difficult to go beyond the track, so alcohol reduces. No, I'm not advertising alcohol or anything. I'm just saying what works for us. This is the easiest way we tried. Another approach, we took all of the company employees to celebrate the anniversary of the company to another country on a vacation. Last year we went to Georgia. This year we went to Berlin. Well, not everyone wants to join, but it's a very good team building method because 2-3 days spent together, taking city walks and talking together is the huge experience for team building. They don't need me there in 95% of cases. My participation is not needed any longer, so they can arrange among themselves. They can really find solutions to difficult issues about the projects, etc., in different situations. Is everyone willing to engage? No, not really. There is this one girl, she doesn't drink. She joined us, so she took some snacks, she listened to us. But while we were making jokes, like her career ladder would be going down, the same as with this other singer. But these are jokes, but jokes apart, we were always saying, well, please join us. Even if you don't drink alcohol, just join us, just stay with us. She tried hard, but well, not everyone feels comfortable in this sect environment. Well, this is a joke. I'm kidding. Do you want also to know the findings of the survey of the British scientists? They have a video about the most engaged person.
It turns out is somebody that you're really going to want to know because she is in fact the most engaged employee in the world. I know this because as head of the ADP Research Institute, we've just finished this 19-country study. We really wanted to know how high is engagement in different countries and what drives it. But as part of the research, we sliced it and sliced it and sliced the data. And we found there's one worker in the world who's more engaged than anyone else. Her name, Barbara. That's a joke. It's not really her name. She's a composite. But when you slice the data, she's a manager or team leader in professional services. She's been with her company 5 years or more. She works on a team. She has a main job, and she's also got kind of a side gig that she does. She's a blogger. Oh, she works at home 80% of the time. When she goes into an office, it happens to be the headquarters of her firm. Her commute, in case you're interested, 31 minutes to 60 minutes. She's been with the company, have I said that already? She's married, but she doesn't have any kids. She does have a pet, though. A python by the name of, apparently, Gregory. So that's Barbara. Listen, we don't really know that she's got a pet. Well, we know she's got a pet. We don't know that the pet is a python. And we can't be sure that the python's name is Gregory. But everything else prior to that is true. As it happens, women are slightly more engaged than men. As it happens, professional service is slightly more engaging than it is to work in construction, let's say. But of all the things that we know about Barbara, by far the single most powerful one is that she is a member of a team.
A team, of course, is a group of people who've agreed to work together. We like to walk through the world as though people are the same as one another. But you look around you and you see the first thing that strikes you about humanity is we're all different from one another. The best leaders know that the idiosyncrasy of every person is a wonderful thing to be drawn out, that the weirdness of a human being is the best bit. How do you knit weirdness together in the service of something useful? The answer is this splendid piece of technology, thousands of years old, called the team.
If you say you're part of a team, if you feel part of a team, you are twice as likely to be fully engaged at work.
Barbara's part of the gig economy as well, with one full-time job and one side hustle. Are there any lessons there for the world of work?
The two most compelling reasons for people to be gig workers are, number one, that it gives them a greater opportunity to be in control of their lives. 25% of all gig workers around the world give themselves the same title, president. And the second most powerful reason,
the full-time job gives us predictability and stability. The gig job gives us a chance to do something that matters to us.
To do what you love. Some stability here and then some flexibility, creativity there is something that we could all learn from.
We learned Barbara's a remote worker, but that might be a little bit surprising because we think of remote workers being somehow separate. The data says that remote workers who feel like they are part of a team are actually more engaged than co-located workers who come to the office today who feel that they are part of a team.
Clearly, there's some value to working at home and having the creativity and the flexibility that comes with that, the control of your own schedule.
Remote and feeling part of a team trumps co-located and feeling like part of a team. The question is, how can I get more Barbaras?
At the moment, the levels of engagement are not high at all. 15.8% of people are fully engaged at work. That means 85% of us around the world are just coming to work. So our challenge really is, once we get people to come in and join our companies, how do we get them engaged? How do we get them productive?
We would all like to have the world's most engaged person working on our team, to which the answer is you do already. You just have to help them express that and step into that. It's not a question of choosing the right person. There's nothing about Barbara that's inherently engaged. There is a set of things in her environment that each of us could help create at work that brings out the best in Barbara. Do you feel part of a team? Does the team bring out the best in you? That's how you get more Barbaras.
Thank you. Вопросы?
Any questions? I'm there. My question is, what does it mean fully engaged? What do you mean by this? In one company, fully engaged means that I did my job. It's been a long time when I worked in the office. I'm trying to think back of this. In one company, it would imply that I completed all of the jobs, and then at 6 p.m. I can go home or go for my weekend. In another company, it implies that you need to hit some, problems with health. It doesn't imply fully engaged. I think this is something that you need to explain about how I see it, right? I'm not the author of the survey. In my understanding, a fully engaged person is the person who is really concerned about the result, not the same as me. But if we use the 10-point scale, if it's 9 out of 10, for me, it's fully engaged. So when they are happy to come to the office to do their job, when they're in a good mindset, and when they're happy to be engaged into what they do, this is what fully engaged is, in my understanding. When I worked for a long time in a company, since I worked for a long time in a company, and we had a very good HR who introduced the processes when we only started discussing this. She actually used such things about motivation as team, money, creativity, profession, power, and career. Is this the Maslow pyramid? No, it was her contribution. It was her actually genuine project in the company where I used to work. As a result, in order to understand all of this, in order to define all of this, we had this career plans thing. Your company is small enough, but anyway, some people want to grow and go further. What about career plans as a notion with your company? Career plan, yeah, right. Okay, I've never heard this expression, this word combination, career plan. Well, it's organic with us. Well, people who she distracted. Well, you can grow. With the growth of the company, it's very easy to do. As it goes in US companies, first they have the junior manager, then they have project managers, senior project managers, team leaders, and then they are the VIPs. Everyone wants to be a president, so you can have these VPs. No, I don't have a VP. No, when we talk about the career plan, career growth. When we talk about the project managers or senior project managers, these COOs, Kirill is not here, so he used to be the project manager. Is there anyone from Intex? He used to be the project manager, and now he is the COO. Thank you for this presentation. I hope it was not awful. It was beautiful. It was interesting. Well, actually, well, this person in the video asked, where do I get more barbers in the team? Which is not related to navigation and logistics, which is a very good thing to know, because finally you can engage many extrovert things. First, people were brought together into class, and then you started learning. Now, actually, the school is trying to change the understanding, so it's not necessary to get children together to teach them. They teach them differently because this is just the age where we live in. The people work differently. He also said that her commute is from 30 minutes to 60 minutes. So we suppose she works in a very good big city with a good infrastructure for transportation. What we have here, I haven't been a translator for 9 or 10 years as a full-fledged translator, but even now, whenever I go for the assignment, I always have a choice either to go for the assignment or to work, because my force is only distributed for taking an hour and a half commuting, or just doing my job during the same time. Maybe you can have more days a week for remote Barbaras. Do you agree that you will need to increase the number of these remote days? There will be the same balance. Well, actually, this is the trend that we see. There are editors who are, waking up and then they are doing their job in the morning and they actually message, may I stay at home? Well, but they spend more days at home, right? That's true. But our plan is even more interesting. We want to have that 4-day working week, but I don't see how to do this yet, but we are aiming for this. When we talk about the translator or interpreter, everyone is talking about the work, and work. But a translator, interpreter cannot do without reading. It doesn't matter whether it's a translator or an interpreter. Not only reading about your work, but also they need to be the voracious reader. They need to be in love with this text and read it. So I actually treat text as food. I devour the text. And actually, I came across Andrei Platonov's call. And you need to have time for reading great books. Where do we get this time? So the only, well, you can commute and read. Well, this logistics could really spare some time for this for me. Well, I think that in our industry, and it has been implemented already, not in our country. In Argentina, there is a company, a U.S. company that I know of, where they have no office. They have the legal address. People work remotely from home and also from different countries, and they are still part of the team. How do they do that? I can only make assumptions, but it works somehow. In our case, I'm trying to find the good words. Well, I'm ready to have people working 3 or 4 days at home. Our old processes are based on having a computer on the internet, because all of the licenses for Trados and MemoQ and XRF and other stuff are there. So it's not a problem. But there is a need, at least initially, to work together, at least for the new people, for the newcomers, to have this, circle of non-judgment and also this culture saturation. So this is like not a freelancer, but a full-lancer. These are people on the staff, but they actually work remotely for you. I suggest we continue this discussion at 3:30 p.m. because the topic is very interesting to deal with. Thank you, Misha, for your presentation. If you met Misha first now, I believe you agree that he is great. He is great. I'm more modest.